guard, they say that's when a defender's within at least 2 feet. As opposed to last season, it was at 8%. And I'm curious if that's more of a byproduct of him being more aggressive through that contact, or if you see it more as teams are just defending him with more pressure.
I think he's being more aggressive and, creating more in one-on-one situations. So typically when you are in those one-on-one situations, your defender's going to end up closer to you, as opposed to last year. I think a lot of his baskets came assisted also. So, guys were in help. He got the ball. He was able to have more space. But I think it is a lot to do with him being more aggressive and, trying to get and create more in one-on-one opportunities.
Do you like that he's growing that aspect of his game?
Yeah, I like whatever Evan Mobley does. Yeah, I'm on board.
To go along right with that, he's increased his free throw percentage by 10% this season. But his free throw attempts aren't any better than they were last season. What are you seeing there with him getting in line?
I think he's playing with confidence. We were talking earlier in the season, the little mid-range shots, he was struggling with. I think you see now, like, he's knocking those down with confidence. I think that translates to the free throw line as well. You can see it in his game. You can see it in his face. He's playing with, another presence. He's playing with a belief and a, confidence that's going to help, traject him to the places where we all expect him to go. And those take steps, right? Like, you see it in all those guys. Like, you go back in, the elite players' careers, and there's a time or a season where you see a switch from, everybody else thinks you're good to you really believing you're good or great. And then that's when guys tend to make that jump, and I think we see Evan taking those steps in that direction.
Chris.
Hey, JP.
What's up, Chris?
What do you like about the Evan 4 shooters, Jarrett 4 shooters lineups?
Obviously, the space and speed that we can play with. When you have guys that are as dynamic as we have as far as beating their man, it makes it really, really difficult to stay in front of people. The league, the rules are set up. You can't touch a guy. Again, I don't know how many guys are as fast going backwards as our guys are going forward. So, there's just so much room and opportunity for guys to get downhill, get to the paint, and create shots. And then defensively, our guys fight pretty tough. They can guard multiple positions. They can guard up a size. You can switch a lot of things on the back end. So it just gives you some versatility and another look.
Karis talked about the defense yesterday. You talked about during this stretch playing better basketball overall. Where do you feel like you guys have grown specifically on the defensive end since the beginning of the season?
I think it's, guys understand what their roles are in our system. We talk about this quite a bit, but we're not typical NBA defense. So, when you show up here, you don't just plug and play, right, and have a high-level understanding. What I think you see now is guys are figuring it out because, everybody's job is predicated on the next man's job. So, one guy, not being in the right spot, causes another guy to not be in the right spot. And then there's the trust of whether or not, I should go do my job because the guy in front of me hasn't done his yet. So I think it just takes time, and guys are getting the reps and understanding it. But, they're competing at it too, which I think is great.
Why is your defense so different? What makes it that way?
The way that we've schemed with the two big guys to start with, and what we ask them to do no matter where they are on the floor. And then because of the job that they have to do, the smalls have a particular job that they have to do in places on the floor that they have to be.
It's very vague.
Yeah. Are you going to tell you all my secrets?
Spencer Davis, Cavs Insider. Based on your backcourt combinations that you can put out there with Karis and Darius, Karis and Donovan, obviously Donovan and Darius, and even playing all three of them, what kind of different things do they offer you in terms of when you have them on the floor together in different spots?
That's tough. There's a lot. Like they're all so dynamic and can play so many different ways. They can play the pick and roll. They can play, what we call our touch game, which is the throw and chase game. They can beat you one-on-one and create when things bog down. And they all do it differently, right? The three of them's games are unique. Like Karis kind of has that offbeat kind of game. Darius is more shifty. Donovan is more powerful. Like they're all so unique and different that it just puts a ton of pressure on defenses. And especially when they're all out there on the floors, because you have to worry about them each in a different way. And you can't just put, a non-defender on one of those guys, because they're smart enough and selfless enough to figure out, like, we're going at that guy, and, that guy can take advantage of them.
You had that opportunity to do it last year, but now you have Max in the mix. So, like, how does he accentuate what they bring to the table?
Obviously the threat of shooting, but the speed that he plays at on the offensive end of the floor, like, he moves so much, and, teams have to turn and peek to see what he's doing. So now if you turn and peek and watch what Max is doing, the strong side of the floor, they can take advantage of an advantage situation. If it's a pick and roll that turns into a 2-on-1 or whatever it may be. But, like, he's just disruptive by himself, because of the movement and the motion. And teams just have to chase him, and you have to account for him, and not just with one guy. When big guys are screening for him, now two guys are watching him, and again, you create an advantage on the backside.
I haven't did write down Euclid. JD, in years past, Damian Lillard was the heliocentric to everything the Blazers did. Now that he's no longer with Portland, how different is it to prepare to face the Blazers versus in years past?
Obviously he was, like you said, such a big part of what they did. But now you're playing a completely different game, right? Like, Jeremy Grant is taking, the majority of the offense on his shoulder. So how do you prepare defensively for him and his isolations and those types of things? Lately they've been running more post-ups for DeAndre Ayton, so how do you game plan for more post-ups? Before, you wouldn't see very many post-ups when Dame had the ball in his hand. So, there's just individuals, Malcolm Brogdon obviously is back now playing really, really well for him. So it's just different individuals and tendencies and a little bit stylistically that you have to prepare for.
Okay, let's go wrap for Coach.
All right.